everybody, welcome to a new episode of Game School. Today I'm going to be teaching you the basic rules for Doom the board game put out by Fantasy Flight. There's a whole lot going on in this box. Let's start with a familiar sight for a Fantasy Flight product. This game comes with multiple rulebooks. One is a learn to play booklet which will run you through the step-by-step process of the game. Now there's a rules reference book. This lists out the rules in an alphabetical index so you can quickly find a more complete and detailed description of the rules than you would find in the learn to play book. The last booklet we get is the operations manual. Inside we find a detailed plan of 12 missions set up over 2 separate but connected campaigns, as well as 6 different constructed teams that will have a different play style. Next we have 196 cards that go into making a handful of different decks. We have 6 attack dice, 4 red and 2 black, 7 stun tokens, 55 damage tokens, split up between 35 1 damage tokens and 23 damage tokens. 9 health pack tokens, 6 double-sided teleporter tokens, 6 objective tokens, 18 double-sided portal tokens, 21 frag tokens, 18 argent power tokens, 23 weapon tokens, 6 of which are grenades, 16 double-sided progress/threat tokens, 24 double-sided map tiles that show both the hellish Martian landscape as well as the Martian bases. 8 door tokens with 8 plastic stamps. The most exciting things in this box are the minis. 37 unpainted plastic minis, 4 of which are Marines. Each of the 4 Marines are wonderfully sculpted and unique to differentiate them from the others. Each one looks like they'd be able to kick your butt in a completely different way, but the monsters are where things get really gross. The detail on these monsters is absolutely amazing. Every single one of them looks disgusting and they look dangerous. Starting in the back we have the Cyber Demon, the Mancubus, the Baron of Hell, the Cacodemon, and up front we have Pinky, the Possessed Soldier, an Imp, and a Revenant. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to play Doom the board game by walking you through the tutorial mission as presented in the Learn to Play booklet. The first thing you do is to set up the map as shown here. Each tile lists in the corner which number it is, making it easy to quickly find the tiles needed for each mission. In this case it is 5A, 7A, 10A, 3 15A tiles, and a 16A tile. And here's a close-up of one of the tiles showing where you can locate the identification number. Here we're preparing the Marines. We do this by taking the Marine cards and adding the correct weapons to go along with the Marines. For the tutorial scenario, Alpha gets a combat shotgun and a super shotgun. Bravo gets a burst rifle and a heavy assault rifle. Charlie gets a burst rifle and a super shotgun. And Delta gets the combat shotgun and heavy assault rifle. Now that we've determined which weapons each Marine will have, it's time to build the action deck. When looking at action cards, it's important to look in the lower right-hand corner. You start building your Marine's action deck using your 4 basic action cards: Armor, Reposition, and 2 copies of Quick Shot. When you add the action cards for your chosen weapons, I'm going to look down in the lower right-hand corner, just like you did with the basic action cards, and you are going to find all of the action cards associated with that weapon. In the case of the combat shotgun, it's 3 cards. 1, 2, and 3 of 3 are all the same card shotgun maneuver. In the case of the super shotgun, the 3 cards are 2 copies of Up Close and Personal and 1 copy of Double Barrel Blast. Repeat the process with the other 3 Marines, and now you have the action decks for all 4 Marines ready to go. While the Marine players are setting up their decks, the Invader player is going to set up the Invader deck. On the bottom of each Invader card, there is a label letting you know which set the Invader card is from, in this case, Blood Rush. To create the Invader deck from the tutorial mission, pull the 18 event cards, which show the names Power Overwhelming, Seek and Destroy, and Blood Rush. Once you have all 18 event cards together, shuffle them up to create the Invader event deck. Each round is made up of 2 phases, the status phase and the activation phase. During the status phase, the Invader player will create the initiative deck using 1 initiative card for each Marine present and 1 Invader card for each different type of Invader present. In this case, it would be the imps and the Possessed Soldier. The Invader player takes the initiative cards, shuffles them thoroughly, and creates the initiative deck. After building the initiative deck, the invader player will ready the demon groups so that they can be used again for the upcoming turn. Next, the invader player is going to draw 6 cards out of the event deck. And these will be the invader player's hand through the entirety of the round. The final step here is gain Argent Power. We won't go over that in this video as it is not used in the tutorial level. However, we will have another video where we go over all of the advanced rules, getting you ready for your first full game. The second part of a round is known as the activation phase. During the activation phase, each of the Marine players, as well as the invader player, will have the opportunity to play action or event cards. First thing you do is you flip over the top card of the initiative deck to show which player will be activated. In this case, it is the Marine, Charlie. During activation, Charlie's player will look at his hand of 3 cards. He's able to do 1 main action, which is designated by this symbol here, and any number of available bonus actions, which is indicated by this symbol here. Looking at an action card, you can see that it designates what type of action it is, what the speed value for the action is, what the range of the attack is, and what dice are used to determine the damage of the attack. Looking at the action card 3-round burst, we can see that it is a main action. It will give you 3 movement points. The attack itself has a range of 6, and you would roll 3 red dice to determine the damage of the attack. It's important to note that when you gain movement, it can be used before or after the attack. The third action type that can be used on a card is a reaction, as designated by this symbol. Reaction cards will let you know in the card's text when and how you are able to use them. Unlike a Marine activation, which uses cards to determine what it's able to do on its turn, each invader type has set rules that it follows specifically. The top number on the right-hand side shows how many movement points the activation generates for each figure. Below that, you have the range for their attack, as well as what dice to use for their attack. In this case, it is 2 red dice to determine damage. Immediately below that, the 3 signifies how much health that each imp has. Once it takes 3 damage, it's defeated. It also has an ability called Hit and Run, which is after you perform an attack, gain 2 movement points. The ability below that uses Argent Power, which, as I stated before, won't be used during this tutorial. As an example of Marine activation, Charlie is going to play the action 3-round burst, which gives 3 points of movement and has a range of 6. It also says, while performing this attack, you may discard 1 card from your hand to reroll 1 die. In this case, I will move 1, 2, 3. Moving through friendly units doesn't cost any additional movement. And I'm going to attack this front imp. Now, line of sight is determined by drawing an imaginary line from one corner of the space you're occupying to one corner of the space that an enemy is occupying. If that line has nothing blocking it, such as here to here, you have line of sight. In the advanced rules, cover can come into play, but again, we'll cover that in another video. So in this case, 3-round burst uses 3 red dice for the attack. Go ahead and roll. When either an invader or a Marine is defending, they're going to compare the number of hits on the attack dice to their defense. Their defense is determined by the top card of either the action deck, in case of the Marines, or the event deck, in case of the invader. So with 2 attacks, we'll go ahead and flip over the top card. It is the special symbol, which can be found in the lower right-hand corner of their card. In the case of the possessed soldier, their special defense is worth 2. In the imp's case, their special defense is an evasion, which negates all damage. Now that Charlie is finished activating, we'll go ahead and draw back up to our hand size and draw the next initiative card, which is an invader. On an invader's turn, we choose which invader we're going to activate. In this case, it's going to be the imp. We're going to turn its card sideways to show that it is being activated. And so we can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and place the invader card right here. When you activate an invader, you activate every single figure in that group. So we'll go ahead and activate all 3 imps. An imp gets 4 movement and has an ability called hit and run, which is after you perform an attack, gain 2 movement points. So we're going to move 1, 2, 3, and then attack. You can see we're 2 spaces away. That's well within the range of 4, and we do have line of sight. We roll 2 dice for the attack, and let's compare that to Charlie's defense. There's 3 attack and 1 defense, which we can see up here in the corner. So we'll go ahead and subtract that and deal 2 damage to Charlie. When dealing damage to a Marine, you take damage tokens equal to the amount taken and place them on their card. After the imp's attack, it's going to use its hit and run ability to move out of the line of sight. You would then follow this by activating each of the other imps. On Alpha's turn, he wants to get into an advantageous position, so he's going to use his sprint movement, discard a card from your hand, and gain 6 movement points. So he's going to move 1, 2. He's going to spend 2 points of movement to enter a space where an enemy is. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6. That's his main action. And now he's going to use the ability Quick Shot as a bonus action and attack for 2 dice. We're going to go ahead and aim at the imp that he passed through. That's 3 damage. The invader's defense card has a 1 defense. So canceling out 1 damage, 2 damage is done to the imp. When placing damage on an invader character, you simply take the damage tokens and place them next to the figure. Imps only have 3 health, so 1 more damage will destroy this figure. Let's take a quick look at how the invader player can use event cards to devastate the Marines. On the invader's turn, he's going to activate Pinky. Pinky has a speed of 5. He only has a range of 1, so only melee attacks with 1 red die and 1 black die, along with 8 health. Pinky also has an ability called Bull Rush that says before rolling any dice for an attack, if the defender was not adjacent to you at the start of your activation, add 1 red die. On this activation, we're going to use 2 event cards, Hellish Power and Crippling Strike. Hellish Power says, play this card before rolling any dice for the attack targeting the Marine who has suffered the least damage or is tied for the least damage. Add 1 black die. Crippling Strike says, play this card before rolling any dice for an attack. Choose and remove 1 die. After you perform the attack, the defender becomes stunned. So we're going to move Pinky as 5 speed. 1, 2. Now with the attack, we would normally roll 1 red die and 1 black die. However, since Pinky moved this turn, we're going to add 1 red die. And since this Marine hasn't been damaged yet, we're going to add 1 black die for Hellish Power. Now in order to use Crippling Strike, we have to remove a die, so we're going to remove 1 of the red dice. Now Pinky's attack went from 1 red die and 1 black die to 2 black dice and 1 red die, and giving the ability to stun a Marine. So we'll go ahead and we'll roll these dice, doing a whopping 7 damage, along with the Marine's defense of 3, so we're doing 4 damage, plus the Marine is stunned. When a Marine becomes stunned, you hand them one of these cards, which reads, Stunned. While defending, you do not reveal any cards for defense. Before rolling any dice for an attack, choose and remove 1 die. After you perform an attack, or after a hostile figure attacks you, discard this condition. So as you can see, properly using event cards during an activation can take a Marine from full health to almost dead and stunned with a single attack. At this point, if there had been a second Pinky and he went to attack the Marine would get 0 defense, and as an unmodified attack, he would kill him completely. Now, while we're on the subject of playing cards, let's say that this Marine had in his hand a reaction card. Reaction cards are noted by this symbol here, which will tell you how and when the card can be used. After a hostile figure performs an attack, you may play this card to perform this attack, targeting that figure. It has a range of 6 and uses 2 black dice. So after the attack goes through, dealing 7 damage and stunning the Marine uses Magnum Shot to fire back at Pinky. So we're going to use the 2 black dice. It does 4 damage, minus the defense, which is 1. So we do 3 damage to the Pinky. And because the Marine didn't attack, he is no longer stunned. When a figure is killed, it's called fragging. When a Marine is killed, their figure is removed from the board, they shuffle their hand into their deck, and draw 3 new cards. At that point, they wait until their next activation to appear back on the portal spot. Each time a Marine is fragged, the invader player is given 1 frag token. When all of the figures in an invader group are fragged, you take the invader card and flip it face down, signifying that they are no longer able to be activated in the current board state. In order to pick up an item, all you need to do is simply spend movement points to walk to the space. When picking up a health pack, you simply remove 5 damage from one of your characters. When picking up a weapon, you take the cards associated with that weapon. In this case, with the rocket launcher, you get 2 copies of Rocket Salvo and 1 copy of Lock On Burst. You shuffle the cards together and place them on top of your player deck. This allows you to use the weapon that you had just picked up right away. When moving adjacent to a door, you can spend 1 point of movement to open the door. Each mission will tell you how each of its portals are activated. In the tutorial mission, as soon as the door opens, the portals will spawn invaders. Each mission will have 1 of 12 invasion cards. The tutorial mission uses the card First Strike. On a blue portal, gives you 3 imps or 2 possessed soldiers. On a yellow, it gives you 2 imps and 2 Cacodemons, or 1 possessed soldier and 2 pinkies. And on a red portal, which is not used in the initial game, you get 1 Cacodemon, 2 Mancubuses, and 2 Argent Power, or 3 imps and 4 possessed soldiers. When you are summoning invaders, you take the portal token you're about to use and flip it face up to show that it's activating. You then take the invaders that you're choosing to bring in. In case of blue, we're going to bring in 2 possessed soldiers and place them on or adjacent to the portal. You then remove the portal token once the invaders are summoned. You follow the same process with all of the portals that are currently summoning. So we'll bring in 2 imps over here. And 2 Cacodemons. Now that we have demons back on the board, we're going to flip their invader cards back over. And then shuffle 3 invader initiative cards back into the initiative deck. The very last thing that we're going to look at are terrain and walls. Along the borders of each tile, there are going to be thick, dark lines which are walls. 2 spaces separated by a wall are not adjacent to each other. Figures can't move through walls, and walls block line of sight. Difficult terrain is indicated by a dotted blue border. A figure must spend 1 additional movement point to enter a space of difficult terrain. Difficult terrain does not block line of sight. Blocking terrain is indicated by a solid red line. Figures can't move through a solid red line. Additionally, blocking terrain blocks line of sight. It effectively works the same way that a wall does. The last one, not shown on this map, is a dotted red line, which is impassable terrain. Figures cannot move through dotted red lines. However, impassable terrain does not block line of sight. Well, those are the basic rules for Doom the board game. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comment section below, as well as any suggestions that you may have for future videos, including rules explanations, reviews, or playthroughs. In an upcoming video, we're going to be doing a playthrough of the tutorial mission of the game. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out greenfiregames.net.